So what is the date, Michael Curran?
February 16th, 2025.
In the
Sounds
year
like,
of our Lord 2025.
yes,
And you're Michael Curran, and I'm Michael Mack. Good friends, old friends, although you're older. Um, and we're here to talk about living and dying and loving, right?
yep.
I'm going to expand my screen a little bit. And wow, that background behind you is just so gorgeous. Um, Looks to be very much about living. And then there's your face, which is very much about dying.
Wow. You say the loveliest things to your friend.
As he's dying.
Yes,
So would you say that's true of yourself, that you're dying right now?
it seems to be.
Yeah.
Although
So
I've
you, yeah.
started digesting a little liquid now. I
Say that
wasn't.
again.
Yesterday, I was not responding for 15 minutes. Fireman came to pick me up, put me into bed. I have zero memory.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Michelle said, I looked at her with glazed eyes.
Yeah. So what I have from you and what I got from Michelle briefly yesterday is that you were in the wheelchair and you were sitting up, but you were non-responsive, as you just said. And so she called the firemen to come help get you from the wheelchair into the bed because you're a big guy. And so they needed some muscular young men to help you into bed. And you got there, and apparently, when you were lying down, you became responsive again because that's when I called and we chatted for a little bit and talked about our planned conversation for today. So, who is our audience? Just so I can have a sense of what kind of backstory, what kind of background we want to give folks. Who's our
Well,
audience?
about 60 friends on Zoom to start with.
Okay. And so we're sort of reenacting or attempting to reenact the Zoom you did a presentation at the
Yep,
Fallen Church in Lexington in January and had a whole bunch of people show up on Zoom and a whole bunch of people show up in person, really packed the church to talk about living and loving and dying. And
and you have the dying part.
yeah, so Michelle had the loving part, and Craig Hall had the living part, and I've got the dying part. So that's what we talked about. And I actually, yeah, I have the clips that you want, so I can send those to you. Um, and so this may go out to a wider audience than these 60 friends. So um, you've been on a cancer journey for some years now, right? Um, First diagnosed what, maybe 15 years ago, something like that?
I had prostate cancer in 2010
2010.
and sinus cancer in 2015.
Mm-hmm. And the sinus cancer, they did a really powerful treatment to it, proton beam radiation therapy,
Yes,
which seemed to allay it for quite some time, for like 9 years or something like that, right?
six.
6 years, okay. And so it looked quite positive. And then about so 6 years ago, so for about 6 years, and then what was it, about 3 years ago? Then it started coming back in a major way. And you had discussions with with surgeons at Dana-Farber, with cancer specialists at Dana-Farber, and also Mass General, I think. And ultimately, because it had grown back significantly, it looked, and where it was located, it was inoperable.
Not
Is that right?
them. No. Mass General operated on it.
Mass General operated. Okay. And what was the result of, what was the result? What was the immediate result of that?
I was sent to rehab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't walk.
Yeah. As I recall, there was a bleed in there somewhere, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And doctor took the padding out of my nose. It started to bleed.
Yeah.
Took us 9 hours to get me back, and he could cauterize me. But I became very weak after that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had a surgeon many years ago say, in a moment of remarkable candor, there's no problem so bad, no problem so bad that surgery can't make it worse.
Wow, that's what happened.
And it happens sometimes.
Um,
Um, you know, with even the best surgeons.
I mean, it was a risky surgery. You took a chance, and really proton beam radiation wasn't available to you anymore. You get one shot at that, at least in your case, and that was it. And it gave you 6 years of pretty good life. Yes. But you couldn't go back to that, so it was looking like surgery was the only option in terms of conventional treatment. Yeah. And you flipped the dice and went with Mass General. And they're not slouches at Mass General. It was been a great trip. Yeah. Michelle came to live with me because she didn't want me to die alone. Mm-hmm. And then we got married. Yep, you got married just before Thanksgiving. Maybe even the day before Thanksgiving. Maybe exactly the day before Thanksgiving. Maybe exactly. Okay. And so now it's like 4 months after Thanksgiving, 3 to 4 months after Thanksgiving. And you were concerned at one point. I mean, I mentioned earlier on that you had that we had an interview conversation at the Fallen Church in Lexington, well attended. And before that, you were questioning whether you would be up for it. You weren't sure that you had the strength for it. But you rallied. As you've been rallying again. Yesterday when we talked, you had some doubts about whether we would be having this conversation today. But look at you. You're standing up with a field of dreams behind you. Go, Mike. You're on a roll, Michael. And all things are possible. I mean, we're not counting out the possibility of spontaneous remission. Yes. It could happen. Let's talk. We'll do it. Make it so, as Captain Picard used to say on Star Trek 2. I think it was Star Trek 2. Make it so. And we're not ending this without a prayer from you. Oh, sure. Best prayer I ever knew. Michael Mack. No comparison. Well, with that introduction, I hope I don't screw it up. Thank you. My feeling about prayer is that it's really, having a prayer, one who prays, a prayer, is sort of like having a hairstylist. You can go to an excellent hairstylist, but for whatever reason, there's no chemistry and it just doesn't work for you. So maybe that's what I am for you as a prayer. Oh, yes, you are. So we'll see what we can invoke when we come to the end of our conversation. So, well, here we are, man. It's February. It's about a month after you had the conversation at Fallen Church. And what have you seen since then? What revelations? You're the revelation per day. One revelation per day at least. At least from you. What's the revelation of the day? Of the day? I'm not sure what's happened yet. Okay. Well, what you said to me on the phone yesterday when we talked briefly was, it's not so bad. Dying's not so bad. No, it's lovely. I believe that was a direct quote. It's not so bad, and it's lovely. Now we have another direct quote. Peaceful, loving, very hard to leave. As people say, might be hard to come back, do the dishes. My personal belief is, once you get there on the other side, your memory of this dark world will be minimal at best. You have promised me that you're going to haunt me, but I think that you're going to be having too much joy. No, I won't forget you. You won't forget me? Can I hold you to that? Yes. I'm holding you to that. Yes. You better not screw it up, because now it's on tape. On shared with the world. So, yeah, we don't know how many conversations we will have. This could be our last, or we could have another, or another, and another. No, I feel like I'm gonna live. My inner voice says so. My three spirits say so. My mother, father, and the Grim Reaper, Mr. Death, who come to my session twice and said, I'm going to live into my 90s. Into your 90s? Okay. Now, it was a few months ago that you had visitations from your mother and your father and from the Grim Reaper, Mr. Death. You had, you were seeing spirits. You were recognizing spirits. Have you recognized any lately, like in the last few weeks? I just want to say the first time, Michelle's sister was there, and she felt shadows without any communication from me. So that helped me think they might be real, not just hallucinations. So Michelle's sister was there in the room? Yes. And what was it that she felt or perceived? And you said again, without any indication from you. She said there are shadows here. There are shadows here. Is Michelle's sister perceptive in that way? Yes. Yeah. So she's kind of an intuitive? Yes. Huh. And so without any prompting or acknowledgement or anything from you, she just like announced. She blurted out, there are shadows here. Yes. Wow. There are shades, as they call them back in Homer's day. Shades. And last time, Radiance and Objective wanted me to invite them again. Last week. So did you talk with Anne last week? Yes, in person. And was Anne visiting you in person, or was she on the phone? Visiting in person. Okay, so Anne was there visiting in person in your apartment, and she asked you to invite the shades back, and did you? Yes. And did they come? Yes.